Thank you, everybody. We're here today with Emmanuel, one of the greatest fashion designers that's ever been. Subscribe, like, and share on our site so that we can bring you more people such as he to the audiences that want to see and hear what people such as himself has went ahead and done with Elvis, Jimi Hendrix, Johnny Cash, the Beatles, U.S. presidents, kings and queens. We're going to go over so many today, and we're going to get started. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time to meet with us today in your studio. One of the first questions that we want to ask you is, tell us how you ended up in L.A. and which was one of your first clients once you got there.
I got in LA when our America was celebrating the golden era, which was 1950 when television was born, when the news shows were coming out every week at everybody's home.
Right.
Instead of telling, you know what I mean. So it was just maybe it was the beginning for television too. And it was, of course, the PL, which created a lot of fun with, the protection for the young girls and the young men, not to fill out with children before they could even feed them, Right. So it's part of history of 1950. For example, my hero when I got into the United States had been the little cutouts of and makeups of what people would call the Lone Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to Los Angeles, in Hollywood, I started dressing the man that was going to be the television Lone Ranger, which is Clayton Moore.
Mm-hmm.
And I dressed him all his life, from that time until the day he died. Not only with his masks and uniforms, but his special clothing. So I got to know him well, and now he's still the Lone Ranger to a lot of great people.
Is it true that you went ahead and you walked to the theater to watch some of the Lone Ranger before you moved to L.A. to be able to watch some of the shows?
It was kind of an idea thing that there was no such a thing as, of course there was a thing as picture making, movie making, but the apparatus didn't work very well on the places where I went to see that, because I see Jules Verne, I see John Cousteau only later, no? That was when I was really already in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, I arrived in Hollywood when I was 20 years old. So that's the beginning of what you're questioning now. That's when my life really started in LA. Because I did make other things like dresses before, when I was 12, when I decided to make one-of-a-kind dresses, and I had my reasons for that too. It's the same reasons that are alive right now. I only make dresses for the stars. Like Edith Head gave me the advice. Edith Head is the grandest designer in the world, forever. There'll never be a lady like her. Never will be. Because that kind of brain is something I never seen anywhere, although I've known a lot of great people, a lot of great people that accommodate clothes on artists, and they are wardrobe people that I love and respect with all my heart. But Edith Head was the designer in the world of most of the movies. She made about 12, 16 Oscars. And I had helped her, and she thought that I didn't know that I was making clothes for her. Well, that's true. I didn't know because I make clothes. When I opened my shop, my private shop, nobody knew about it. No, not even my family. But to break into when I got to Los Angeles is funny because first of all, I didn't want to have a green card because I had an international passport.
Right.
I was a young boy. I like to travel, So I am not like totally blind about what American history is, Mexican history is, and Indian history is. So I am very into that. And people need to know why, though. Well, like you just said, I used to go, and they had this Lone Ranger type guy with the silver and all that. But I never, I used to walk like 5 kilometers to go see that.
Wow.
Because to me, as a young boy, was something I really liked. And I liked because the Lone Ranger never killed anyone.
Right.
And he was, I love his honesty. But I got nervous, here's the guy with a knife and trying to kill somebody.
Right.
And here's the Lone Ranger up there in the mountains, with the nice thing of Beethoven moving, tan, taran, 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 taran. And here's no silver and all that stuff. So I had in my brain all those things. So when I got to the United States, as we all call it, I started dressing a man called, the Lone Ranger. And I said, oh my God, this is something. This is one of my heroes. And you get that nerve thing working on you, that beautiful love for what you are going to do. So to me, to recreate the mask and the uniform of the Lone Ranger, it was easy.
Wow.
So I picked the fabric, I picked the whatever, but that same
Right.
look like. Actually, I didn't separate the making of the outfit from too many things. However, I had to change things to make it my own outfit, kind of. But it comes from being in love with what you do. I always wanted to do things my way, and that was just like, it's like the fish calling for water, and having a great meeting. It was that kind of a love that brought us together. Not only that, but I learned from Clayton Moore to be my friend. And I did it for so many years.
Wow.
I mean, although it was the same uniform, but I was making his personal clothing, and I never wanted him to be with the same suit or something like that, with a different suit. So I made my own things for him, and he loved his clothing. That's one chapter. The other one, of course, is that I was working for making clothes for somebody that found out where I came from and how I did it so quick. Okay, when I got with trying to get my green card, I discovered the next day that I couldn't come back to Mexico. You can't. You'll never be able to come back to the United States. I said, oh my God, what error did I make? Because when I crossed the border, I was a very successful boy all my life. And maybe a lot of people want to hear that, or maybe they want to see a person suffering. What is the American dream? I am a visionary, I am not a dreamer. You know, I know what the story is. I grew up with an uncle who taught me everything I know. And he was a philosopher, so I had a lot of routes to take or mix with. And all I did, I became a nerd all my life until I was 20, 19 and a half, when I got to LA.
Tell us your.
The thing is, though, that that's my style. And that's what you probably really want to know. Then, of course, many things happened in the 50s. There was a lot of things. There was the credit card. There was the pill, like I said before. There was a lot of things. Television was born. You know what else was born? Rock and roll was born.
And that leads to the next question that I wanted to ask you is, tell me how you met Elvis Presley.
How I met it?
How you met Elvis for the first time.
Well, somebody went to my habitats. This was a bar very close to my father-in-law's store, Nudie. And I go there and have a little refreshment. And this guy showed up, the guy with a big cigar, that stunk the whole place. He says, I want to talk to you. You're the guy that makes the clothes for the stars. I said, yeah? Well, I have a star that is worth $1 million. I said, I just met that boy about 5 times the last month, so who are we talking about? And he said, this is Elvis Presley. And I said, okay, I don't know who he is, but I'll be happy to meet him. He says, well, so I gave him the address of the store, and he was there on Monday morning at the time that we opened the store at 9. And then I met this boy, most of the kids dress the same way.
Right.
Now, don't forget I'm surrounded by friends already, because we're talking about 1956.
Right.
So can you imagine, like 6 years after of my deep work in the United States of America. A lot of things happened way before that time. Anyway, this man, the one that I met at the bar, is bringing this man that is worth $1 million. And I said, what do you exactly want for this boy? I had to find out some little story, because I like to get into who I am going to dress. And by that time, I was very shrewd about who I would make clothes for. And because of Edith Head advising me, because I was working just for any studios, whoever they were, Paramount, you name it, Warner Brothers. I make clothes for their stars. But I didn't even know their names, because nobody wants to let you know about anything. And this is Hollywood in those years. So when I met Edith Head, it's because I was trying to learn how to do embroidery, because a girlfriend of mine kind of forced me to see the Rose Parade. I didn't know what the Rose Parade was. It's in January the 1st, and it starts at 6 in the morning, blah, blah. Anyway, my experience was so beautiful that I kind of liked with the fanfare of the riders on the Rose Parade in Pasadena, I said, my, I can do this better. The same old challenge of all my life. The fact is that I was making personalities out of scripts for many shows. Like Bonanza, for example, was invented by Mr. Ed Friendly, and he owned a company or whatever. I worked for that group for 14 years. So I had to make the character of Joey, the big brother, the older brother, the one that showed up every once in a while.
Right.
And then it comes High Chaparral, then here comes Chuck Connors in The Rifleman, and you name it. It was 13 shows that I got around to make.
Wow.
And all you had to do is repeat those same outfits. Because you just made their character, and I love that. I said, I like that I'm part of that. And since, I was taught by my mom that if I would shut up, I'll look better. So I never talked too much to anybody about anything like that. I don't like to brag about those things. So here I am, this man telling this kid, hey, open the trunk of my Cadillac and bring your guitar because I want you to sing a song for this gentleman that's going to be making clothes for you. I hadn't even said yes yet. But the kid was so nice, and his hair, everybody had the same hair, by the way. The whole world all the young men had older hair. And at the time, I had a couple of years already knowing Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson, The Killer, you name it, Waylon, Willie, so many stars of the country music industry. Because I have done a lot of things. I had already marched into that, from the movie industry into that, because I kind of like, since I went to see the Rose Parade, I said, man, I can really, and these people they love rhinestones, and they love the embroidery, which I learned from Viola Gray. Over there is when I met Miss Edith Head. And Miss Edith Head told me, Manuel, you're the king of cowboys. You've been making a lot of clothing for my movie, and you don't even know. I said, ma'am, I'm just happy to have a good job.
Did Colonel Parker approach you with the idea for the gold lane suit,
No.
or was that come straight from you? And how
What
did
he
that
came
idea
out of
come
his
about?
mouth was money.
Money.
I want you to make the most expensive outfit that you ever made. So it's not nice to say it, but you're asking me and I'll tell you. It was way cheaper than that. But I charged him $10,000 in 1956 for that coat and pants, and sprayed a couple of loafers shoes and made a little tie
Right.
and a little plastic guitar shirt. And here's this boy, and I put the lapels with fully rhinestone with the cuffs, and the part of the placket of the coat was fully rhinestone. Because I just saw that if he wants to be that's what he wanted to be anyway, a country star, this guy is gonna look super with this.
What did Elvis think of this outfit whenever you were done designing it and it was presented to him? What was
Well,
his
at the
opinion of it?
beginning, when he got his first suit, was it was lots of fun for him, and for me, because I took it to the steam iron, and look what happened to the suit. So I look at it as being probably the worst suit I ever did in my life.
Wow.
But it was a glorious piece for Coleman Parker and for Elvis, and this kid was full of life, and he was cute. And, you know, he just had it. And I knew other entertainers naturally, but you know, so I knew that, and I knew John, and we all know. In fact, I have pictures with all of them together, because everybody takes. I never taken a picture with anybody in my life. They take pictures with me. It's part of me. It's like I don't take pictures of my suits either, ever, of anything. So here it is, and there's Elvis, and made a fantastic career. And then they wanted 19 something later on, because they ordered some. They were making movies with him. He wasn't. I mean, he became, but he wasn't as big as a movie star.
Right.
So they tried about 8 or 9 times, but those movies didn't make too much because that wasn't his thing. So the comeback suit was to sing and dance like he wanted to do it. And for that reason, people in Tupelo, Mississippi didn't like him because they saw him going into the Black Theater to see the king of rock and roll, which Little Richard was and it will be forever, the king of rock and roll. But there was a lot of people, even after him, that could be so many of them. I mean, a lot of singers tried to be Elvis Presley. And that makes it happen for them, you know, in those years when somebody tries to imitate the other one. I mean, it's just incredible. But I will never double that. So there's a lot of my students and a lot of people that have worked with me that gladly had made copies. But it's not my suit. And the fabric is much better than when he was first born. Look at that, it's all wrinkled up. But lame became more used for people, especially dancers and people like that, because it's rubber. It's like stretchy. It was nice. So it was later when they came back for me to make the comeback black leather outfit that a lot of people believe. You made that? But I said, and it's not a jacket and pants. It's really a jumpsuit, but nobody sees it.
So everybody, we are going to come back with part 2, and we're going to continue our conversation with Elvis, the 68 jacket that Manuel designed, and then in the pants, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're coming back with part 2 with our guest that we have here to learn more about the stars that he designed for.